Today's video is talking about how Xena and I worked on improving that jump that you just saw. So Xena had her stifles and her coffin bones injected a little over a week ago, and before that we spent about a week doing very light work because I knew her stifles needed to get done. We're just waiting on the vet. It didn't make sense to really push her and try to do hard things, so she spent about a week not jumping. And then, of course, the week after her stifles, week and a half or so after her stifles and coffins were done, she didn't jump, so that's like 2.5 weeks. And then the last time we jumped was at the show, where she was very sticky, she was very behind my leg, and I know my horse, Xena's not normally behind the leg. She's normally needs a bigger bit because she just is she used to race. She raced for 7 years. I'm not sure if I've actually mentioned that. She raced for 7 years, was a 6-figure earner. So she does sometimes, that was a nice little canter over the cavity. She does sometimes get a little more forward than she needs to be. So my indicator that she needs a joint injection is when I have to start going around courses and actually kicking her around the course instead of asking her to slow down, because she is a forward-thinking mare. So here, as I'm warming her up, I like to start over, and that was a lovely jump over that cross rail. I like to start over a big cross rail just to help her get correct form, sit down behind. I always try to trot it so she can really sit down and push and jump over her back over the cross rail. I try to make the cross rail as big as possible because she's very brave, but she's not always the most careful horse. So having those high sides on the cross rail, it really helps her pick up her front feet. So since she jumped that so well from the trot, I went ahead and cantered it. Got a little close distance, but I still liked how she wrapped around it. She did pretty well there. Coming the other direction, we're actually going away from the barn, so she actually is nicer to ride. She is a little bit more listening to me and waiting for me, and I'm able to put my leg on, so we're getting a better distance going away. And in her warm-up here, I'm looking for her to be supple and relaxed. However, I'm also riding a little more assertively than I normally ride, because at the show, she was really behind my leg, really sticky, almost stopping at jumps. So here, I feel I rode that pretty well. She jumped it really well. I'm happy with her for that. But then as we start making the jumps a little bit bigger, I think the two of us started getting a little bit anxious about, what happened when we were at the show. I went ahead and tested her out over the little skinny, which she was a good girl for. And you can start to see during the ride, she starts getting a little difficult to come back to me. She's on the wrong lead. She's kind of fighting me. I have her in just my dressage snaffle. And normally for jumping, I do put her in more of an elevator bit. But at home, I try to jump her in the dressage snaffle so the elevator bit actually works when we go off site. So we are having a little bit of a conversation there. So now that I'm starting to up the ante, as you will, we come around to jump the vertical again. I'm trying to get her a little straighter so she's not drifting. And you can see she's starting to get a little spicy. Here she's fighting me a little bit. So she's just a little more spicy than I would like her to be. However, since she was so sticky at the show, it's kind of well, I might allow her to go forward because I'm happy that she's actually taking me forward and she isn't just slowing way down at every jump and insisting that I put my leg on. As we keep going, I went ahead and rode this bending line, which rode in a 4.5. She had to add that stride there, but she was quick with her feet, so I was happy with her about that. But I took note of that, and again, she's kind of fighting me when we land. I took note of that and said, okay, well, next time we come through that, I'll need to go forward for that to get the 4. So I put her back together, cantered down, and this time I sent her forward, but not quite forward enough, so we ended up with kind of a long distance. So, that's part of the learning curve. That's part of figuring it out. She has a different type of power now. She's not backed off as much, and the two of us are trying to work it out. So that was better, but she's getting a little bit amped up, as you can see. Through the one stride there, I kind of really sent her because I thought it was kind of a long one. It's on a 12-foot stride, but we're in a tiny arena. But she has a huge stride, so actually I sent her way too much. So I came back around, and she was actually rideable here. She let me put her together, she let me take a tighter turn to it, and then she allowed the two of us to have a better ride. So she jumped it better. Even though she hit it, I was still happier with that. So as we're continuing, I'm recognizing that she's too forward, but I'm also allowing her to go forward right now just because she was so sticky in our last ride. we went ahead and raised the two of them to a meter, and she jumped that really well, so I was super happy with her, and she was pretty rideable through that. So a little pop over the skinny, and then she starts getting unrideable here, so I really made her put herself together, and then I actually turned and angled this oxer just to be like, hey, yo, you do have to come back to me because sometimes we have jumps afterwards. She was pretty good, but again, really forward thinking today. Now here's where we raised the oxer to 3'3", a meter, and training level width. And here's where we kind of started having a problem. You can see she switched leads and really ran at it really hard. So I asked her to come to it again, and you can see she runs. I'm half halting. She gets way up under it. And kudos to her for picking up her feet that second time, but not great. So in order to help with that, what I did was I actually used my arena, and I changed the approach so that I'm coming away from home. She's much more rideable, and I'm able to really sit her down, put her together, and jump up and around the oxer instead of letting her run at it. However, she's still landing, a little bit unrideable. As you can see, she's still swishing her tail. Like there, she really ran up and underneath those two verticals. So the takeaway that I have is that I'm happy that she's not sticky anymore. I'm happy that she's taking me to the jumps. She's being very brave over pretty large jumps for where she's at right now. Not happy that she's running off with me a little bit. I'm happy that using my arena really helped make a difference with that running away feeling. However, she has a lot more power and a lot more torque now, so we have some homework to do. So later this week, I'm going to take her back out, do some cavalettis, really get her listening, get that canter more supple, especially after the jump, because that's where she likes to kind of take off with me. And a few strides in front of the jump, sometimes she really lights up there. So if you'd like to see what we do in our next jump school to help work on that, please like and subscribe and keep an eye on this channel. I'll be posting it and talking all about it.